Welcome to Weather and Ag in Focus. Thanks for joining us this afternoon. Let the Monday mayhem begin. Addison's feeling right smart in the control room today.
Starting off the show right away with that one, huh?
He wouldn't turn my mic on right away.
I'm used to Dean turning his own mic on.
No. I got a lot of other things going on over here. I'm not turning my mic on.
You think you've got a lot of things going on over there? Young lady, would you like to swap chairs? No, I don't want to be in that chair.
No, you probably don't want to be in this chair. Hey, I fed you Oreos earlier to start the day off. We should be in good shape.
It's true. They were pretty good.
Thank you. You're welcome. So it's myself and it is our sound engineer, Addison. But then we are joined by our Cass County Farm Bureau Assistant Ag Director today, Gavin. Do I say this right? Let me see. I got to get your name right. McKitrick.
Yes.
Whoa,
Yep.
Gavin McKitrick. Okay. Sorry, I had to double check my notes. I almost said McClintock, and that just seemed wrong. Unless you're a John Wayne fan, maybe it's okay then.
Well, a little bit.
Okay, great. So feel free to go ahead and introduce yourself. Give us that bio of who you are and how you got here through Cass County Farm Bureau.
I'm Gavin McKitrick from Bowman, North Dakota. We farm and feed cattle out there. Through North Dakota, or NDSU, through our collegiate team, our advisor reached out to us and said, hey, do you want to come out today? And we said, yeah, sure, that'd be great. So that's what we did. So I'm here now. That's all I know.
Okay. Now, when you are doing these types of things, this is just, you're skipping class for a day to come and join me. But what else are you doing up at NDSU?
We do, the collegiate team's able to put in a policy every year.
Okay.
And so we do put in our recommendations and we go through any of the new, anything that Farm Bureau wants put in, we get a vote on it as well, putting in our own thing. And then also we do a couple trips, like there's a Young Farmers Ranchers in North Dakota one, that's, you go out to Dickinson this year, and the next year will be in Bismarck. And then as well, you can go to the National Young Farmers Ranchers Conference, which I did this year, which was out in Portland. That was a lot of fun. Meet a lot of people from around all the states and about everywhere.
Okay, so taking in that conference out in Portland, what was something that you came home and said, this is what I learned?
It was just how much variety there is in American agriculture. That there's people from California that have orchards, and there's people from Texas that have big feedlots, and it's all kind of the same. Everybody has the same issues, but everybody has different sub issues.
Yeah. It's like your different perspective, because I'm going to guess that one of the biggest issues they talked about was probably labor.
Yes.
Okay, so how are we going to get help? Where is it going to come from? Financing was probably another big point of discussion for many of you who are young and are thinking, how do I acquire more acres if I need to, whether it's through ownership, but especially and rent as well. And what are some of the hurdles that we have to overcome to get those things done, right?
Yeah, exactly. Who's going to finance, especially with the price of all the inputs, the land, the everything that, if you're starting off pretty, not with a lot of it, how do you get to a point where you're financially secure and that you can operate, especially with a lower crop price or whatever you're dealing with, low labor, high input costs, the fertilizers here, fuel, etc.
So as the guy from Bowman, North Dakota, what do pastures and so forth look like for you out there? I mean, here we're still we're wet, right? We would like to be, we're drying out. We would like to be able to get the crop in, maybe get some rain after that. What do things look like for you?
Well, personally, I think it's going to be a little bit drier this year. So far, we've been okay. We had strong winds this weekend. I was home, and I kind of noticed it went from pretty dark green to light green again. We're we're
it's
pretty
like
good
it dries
shape.
it out in the top a little bit.
Yeah, and it snowed last night, so we should be in a little bit better shape.
Okay.
So, but
how much snow?
Oh, just a little bit. It's melted now, I think.
It was enough to say, oh, look, we've got some flakes and flurries.
Yeah, exactly.
Which, okay, this is ag and weather. We should do some weather, Gavin. All right, and when we look at today's forecast, we're probably only going to top out around 47 at the most if we can get to that level. Personally, there is a ridiculously strong north wind. I saw it say breezy. Well, I think we bypassed breezy. When your pickup door tries to trap you in it, that's more than breezy. Gusting as high as 40 miles an hour today. Not surprising. We had some of this last week too, which would explain my lack of gas mileage a week ago going to Brookings. We're getting down in the 30s every night this week. So going to be a little brisk, 30, 32, right around freezing. And then most every day this week in the 50s. So it seems pretty stable for what we're going to get. But today's the one day of moisture. Every other day it looks like it's partly cloudy. Maybe on later in the weekend, maybe Saturday we'll get to 70 again. see what it looks like. So you said out at Bowman, you guys have a feed lot.
Mhm.
Are you turning out onto pasture as well pretty soon, or you just keep everybody in a confined feed lot?
Yeah, we'll turn out to pasture. We run a lot of yearlings, and we'll ship those out or run them on our own pastures pretty soon. Near the beginning of May
Okay.
is when we start breaking into that.
Okay.
Yeah, I know some guys that have sent some pairs out to just out in pasture to get them out of the yard. Yards being wet and whatever, but we're getting there.
Okay.
So shortly.
I always like the fact that if I can go out to Western North Dakota in July and it's green, that's a positive.
Yeah.
Because normally you guys don't get that.
Yeah.
A little bit drier territory out there. So it's good to see things improving for you right now. And again, the voice that you hear is Gavin McKitrick. Gavin is going to be our assistant ag director for today here at the studio. He's going to help me talk about headlines. Also, we're going to be interviewing our guest at 1:30, and that'll be Chris Sherman with Tech Support Farm. And for those who have questions, maybe want to ask those of myself or of Gavin, you can reach us on the JLA Insurance phone line. That number is 701-293-9000. Happy to have any of your crop insurance questions answered by the guy who sponsors that, and that would be Nate Thorsrud. He is with JLA Crop Insurance. You can watch us today on Lighthouse Commodities. You can the live stream that Lighthouse Commodities brings us. That is on Facebook, YouTube, and Acres TV. For those who haven't gotten their free subscription to Acres TV yet, you certainly can. That's done by Ag PhD Media, and there are several. I think there's 120 different possible channels on Ag PhD TV now that are giving you a variety of ag content, whether it's from some of the YouTube farmers, as they're called, but also from different companies that want to show you their product line or tips and tricks for a better spring planting and so forth. So check them out at Acres TV. And again, we're there too under Weather and Ag in Focus. And I'll take any of those emails you want to send. You can send those to my email address, which is ag@flagfamily.com. And that's sponsored by Superior Grain Equipment. They protect your farm's future with superior grain storage, drying, and handling solutions. Check them out at superiorbins.com. All right. Additionally, we do something here at WDAY that is called the Big Deals. And it's on our website, but there's a package coming up. And it's maybe a little bit even relevant to you, Gavin, because it's going to be out at Country Fest in Western North Dakota. You want to give us the details on what's going on with that for the week?
Yeah, we can bid on an Indy Country Fest VIP package with this Big Deals auction. This includes 2 4-day VIP passes and 1 4-day VIP parking pass. This is a $1,500 value starting at, the bids will start at $300. Of course, Indy Country Fest is in New Salem. It's 4 days of live music, July 8th through the 11th. This year will be Darius Ruckers, Nate Smith, Billy Currington, Terry Lark, Blackhawk, and a couple other. The Bellamy brothers are on there as well, Low Cash. And bidding will open Thursday the 27th and a close on 5 p.m. If that's correct.
Okay. There's a lot going on with that package, and they're going to want to check it out at WDAYradionow.com because they can go to the Big Deals auction site and look at all of the items that are on there. But if you want to go to Country Fest this summer, 4 tickets in that package?
Yes.
Very nice. Have you ever gone to Country Fest up by Salem Sioux?
I have once when I was freshman in high school. It was a lot of fun.
I bet.
Yeah.
It's a little bit like Woodstock, but under a big giant Holstein cow.
Exactly. Exactly. Maybe a little bit drier than Woodstock. So
Probably. Yeah, well, it is Western North Dakota.
Yep.
You did go West River on that trip.
Yep.
So do you guys do any on-farm fertilizer storage?
We don't have much right now. We do put on a lot of anhydrous, which we do have rented tanks and whatever,
Sure.
but not like a main battery tank or anything.
You know, you're right about the anhydrous ammonia. The further west we move in North Dakota, the more anhydrous ammonia we see that goes out. And over here, we probably see more dry. But North Dakota Grain Growers Association is urging federal policymakers to change the rules of a loan program that's currently in place for grain storage. What they'd like to see is that the Farm Storage Facility Loan Program, which is administered by USDA's Farm Service Agency, would it be expanded so that fertilizer could be part of that storage? They're hoping to see that in the next Farm Bill rather than separate legislation. But we all realize the Farm Bill maybe not moving as fast as it could in many cases. What it could do, though, is because fertilizer requires some specialized storage features, that adds expense. And so what this would do is potentially save costs on fertilizer. You can go ahead and have some on-farm storage, be able to buy in the lows and hold it versus just being able to buy. Hopefully it's that a variety, your contract is honored and your volume is there when it's time for you to try to go get it. It would not only apply to what you can do for dry storage, but there was also discussion on here about liquid. So liquid tanks and potentially, like you said, bullets or nurse tanks for anhydrous ammonia. So we'll see where that goes, but it is certainly something to consider. North Dakota is the only state in the nation that has our own state-owned bank, and we developed an ag loan program this past year to help farmers that had to deal with natural disasters and a weak farm economy. And so North Dakota is always at the forefront of trying to make these things happen a little bit better and faster. And certainly fertilizer price has been a big topic in the market as of late with what happened in Iran and so forth.
Yeah, I know my neighbors, they farm a good chunk of country, and they had never put down anhydrous before with their drills.
Oh, my.
And they actually had to go find and source, I can't remember where they got them, but they sourced anhydrous kits and bought tanks and everything because they couldn't actually get dry fertilizer to go down with their crops.
So they didn't have anything booked. They wound up having to go find the application. You know, you're talking about like the knives and everything to be able to inject.
To go onto the drills, yeah. Because, well, they had 20% booked, but they want to keep that all for corn now.
Oh, yeah.
Just because, but normally they'd put it down with everything and...
Sure. So they're looking at anhydrous with their cereal crop, like wheat.
Yep.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That makes more sense. That I understand what you're saying. And, you know, I don't have a problem using anhydrous ammonia. You just have to figure your cost on your units of N, whether it's liquid, dry, or gas.
Mm-hmm.
But most importantly, just be safe around it. I mean, anhydrous is fine to work with, but you just have to respect it like anything else. You wouldn't let a mad cow get after you. Why would you let an anhydrous tank take the best of you, right?
Yeah. Yeah, there's definitely horror stories and definitely have to have good safety protocols.
Got to have a protocol.
Yep.
We are going to continue our conversation with our Assistant Ag Director, Gavin McKitrick. He is here from Bowman, North Dakota. He's a student at NDSU, and he is sponsored by the Cass County Farm Bureau. And when we return from the livestock market update, which is brought to us by the American Ag Network, we'll continue on with some headlines and a few other things going on in this hour. Be back. You know, it's such a big day having our assistant ag director with us today, and that is Gavin McKitrick. He is from Bowman, North Dakota, a student at NDSU, brought to us by Cass County Farm Bureau. It's such a big day that we thought we should do a giveaway. So what's our plan on our giveaway over there, Gavin?
I'm the third caller. The call-in gets the prizes. The prizes is an ADMS hat, a Root Connections T-shirt. It's a size large.
Okay.
Yeah.
There we go.
And then a pair of safety glasses and this nice Super 77 spray adhesive from 3M.
Excellent.
We're all generously donated.
We say thank you to 3M for donating those items. Also, a big thank you to ADMS as well as Root Connections. For those who are curious, what does all that look like? Well, that's when you can follow us on the Lighthouse Commodities live stream, and you can see what we're doing. Gavin was Vanna Whiting everything over there for us. Addison's going to take our calls, and he's going to let us know when we have caller number 3, and we'll announce who that person is. Whoever is our caller, please keep in mind, can only win once every 30 days, and you got to be here between business hours in order to stop by and pick up your items. So that's between 8 and 5 down at the front desk. We'll make sure those things are down there for that person. So, all right. So we were talking about anhydrous and so forth, and fertilizer is probably the big discussion point coming out of the Middle East right now. All right. Did you ever think that what's happening in the Middle East with Iran is going to affect your clothes?
I don't think about it a lot, but
So you read this article too?
I did, yes.
Tell me what your thoughts were on this, and I'll fill in the gaps.
It does make sense. I mean, there is, of course, less cotton production just because of China not being as much in the market and raising more of their own cotton in the last couple of years. But I didn't think about that your clothes production would come a lot from the Middle East, but I didn't think about the polyester fibers or any of that stuff being large markets over there.
So let's back up and do just a little bit of history on this, if we will. So first of all, what's going on is with the whole war in Iran, sorry.
Yep.
There's a lot of countries over there. It's really held up so many of the petrochemicals that would normally be shipped. And we realize that crude oil as well as natural gas are a pretty big part of creating synthetic fibers. Nearly 2/3 of the clothing manufactured worldwide has nylon, polyester, or acrylic fibers in it. Who doesn't love their Under Armour and every other thing? Well, now that the supply chain has cut off these critical raw materials, we are looking at the possibility of not having enough of them to create some of those synthetic fibers in order to manufacture clothing. So that leads to a couple of different items. One, when it's time for back to school shopping, you could be looking at as much as 15% of an increase in clothing. You can talk about Minnesota and how you don't have to go over there and pay tax on clothes, but 15% is still going to be what you get slapped with when it comes to the concern about what's going to happen from prices on clothing. Now, how could this impact cotton? Are you familiar with the states where we grow cotton here in the U.S.? Was that a part of the discussion at the Young Farmers and Ranchers event you went to in Portland?
I did meet a couple cotton farmers one was from Oklahoma and one was from the, I can't remember where in Texas. But anyways, they're pretty large cotton farmers. Both had 3-4 harvesters between them.
Okay.
So.
In California is, I think, our largest state. Arkansas.
Yep.
In talking with some folks down in Arkansas, and they have been, cotton producers for quite some time. They're excellent. And what they've said is in the last 3 years, they probably had their best yielding crop for cotton and their worst prices. You maybe heard the same thing from the guys you talked to.
Yeah, I've heard that prices just don't pay the bills anymore. Same as with the guys that run big sheep herds. They just can't, the wool and all the natural fibers, they just don't pay anymore.
I had a story last week that talked about the natural wool fibers. 1 to 2 cents a pound on wool.
Mm-hmm.
That's barely worth. I mean, you're losing money getting someone in to shear your sheep for you. So right now, with what's happened with the petrochemicals, this actually could increase the demand for U.S. cotton, but also could increase what they might get for a price. And considering that cotton is a pretty thirsty crop, it's in an area they need a lot of water, they need a lot of fertilizer. I can see where for these guys to get an increase of any sort in their cotton price would probably be a pretty good plan. Have you seen cotton growing?
I haven't. I've always wanted to. It seems like a cool crop, but I have heard it does take a lot of inputs, a lot of water to keep it going.
It's pretty cool. The cotton seed is actually a pretty good filler in in rations for beef animals too.
Yep.
It would be expensive to ship up here for you though.
Yeah, that would be quite expensive. But no, down south there is a lot of places that do feed it. It actually, and then they use it in show cattle, I think, too, as well, because it kind of gets a coat to them. Gets a more
like a
oil
glossy
to the hair.
finish?
Yeah.
Huh. I wouldn't have thought about that, but yes, I bet that would be quite glossy and pretty.
Yep.
So, okay. Well, we still need to get a color for our gift package. Color number
3.
And we have items here from 3M. And additionally, we have
A ADMS hat and a size large Root Connections t-shirt, which is really nice t-shirt.
They are. And folks can give us a call on the JLA Insurance phone line. That number is 701-293-9000. Still want to see someone call in and take that package home today because you never know when you might need those things, right?
Yep.
So Addison's going to take calls for us and we'll make sure to get that covered. Before we step away for our break, just want to let you know that our guest is coming up next. Do you remember who's on our list today, Gavin?
Chris Sherman with Tech Support Farm
Yes.
is his company.
Yes.
Egg tech, cybersecurity for egg culture. And yeah, I think he had some talking points prepared you want to talk about. So
when you think about your cybersecurity as a college student, do you think about it?
A little bit. I mean, you don't want to put everything out there. I probably don't do as good a job as I should. But
after we talked to Chris, we all realized we don't do as good a job as we should.
Yep.
Do you? What about back at the farm and ranch? Are you guys paying very close attention to your Wi-Fi, to your routers, et cetera, making sure that nothing's getting tapped into by accident?
We do try to, for any of our financials and whatever, we try to keep it protected pretty good. But yeah, we probably don't do as much as we should. You just standard co-op Wi-Fi, whatever it is. So.
All right. Well, we will talk more about that when Chris Sherman joins us. But coincidentally, our winner of our prize package today is a young lady named Chris. She'll be picking those things up downstairs at the front desk after we get off air and sometime, hopefully in the next day or two, if not today already. So we will return with Chris Sherman here on WDAY Weather and Ag in Focus after this. let the fun begin. And part of that fun will be as we reach out to growers in the field with our Flag a Farmer program. I'll be traveling with two of our sponsors, Landmark Companies and Geronimo Power, to deliver U.S. flags to farmers who might be out in the field, in their shops, in their farm yards. We want to make sure that you have a flag to fly off of your equipment if you would like, or at the shop or in the yard. So we'll be bringing those around here as spring planting continues underway. Hopefully it's sort of a rolling start right now. Hopefully as that continues to ramp up, we'll see more folks in the field. But again, that is Flag a Farmer. I'll be doing that with Landmark Companies and Geronimo Power. Speaking of giving things away, one minor correction, Gavin.
Yeah, I got to correct myself on the EDMS hat. With GK Technologies donated. They do variable rate mapping, drain tile mapping. They're from Halstead, Minnesota. Their motto is, we've got an app and a map for that.
They do indeed. And because they do quite a bit of work in this region, very familiar name. Another familiar name we have out there is our guest today, and that is Chris Sherman. He is with Tech Support Farm. All right, Chris, I want to ask how are you today, but if you work in cybersecurity, my fear is somebody called and there was a massive breakdown somewhere. Please tell me that wasn't the case today.
As of today, no.
Okay, good.
And I was going to say, you've already asked me how I'm doing today, so.
I have, and I think it's going pretty well.
I would say so.
So one of the things we wanted to talk about was our energy company recently had a breach due to one of their vendors being hacked. Certainly, they're not the only one. I think it was the city of Dickinson recently had something similar to this, and
You're right.
There was another community as well.
Minot Water, wasn't it Minot Water District?
Minot Water and Dickinson School. So can you set up that scenario for us? Explain what's been going on in those situations, please.
So the scenario that is really important to understand that everybody's kind of keeping an eye on right now is it's not so much of a breach as it is somebody that comes through and they start sending invoices spoofing another vendor. But this time around, all they're doing is basically sending you a notice that their automatic payment system has been changed, and they provide you new banking information. And what's interesting about that is that it's so innocuous, right? You have a vendor, they say, hey, we switched banks. This is our new routing number. This is, where you're supposed to be sending your money. And so people automatically start putting those payments in the mail, or they wire them or ACH them, and they don't even think twice about it, right? And then the original vendor, a couple months down the line, starts sending late notices. And by the time that those late notices have been, addressed, the money is long gone. It's out the door and it's not recoverable. And I think that it just stands to reason that cyber attacks are really becoming a thing of social engineering. And it's not so much just somebody breaking in and hacking. It's more, it's becoming significantly more sophisticated.
And farms are a primary target. Farms, ranches, agribusinesses. And
Absolutely.
That's not slowing down. In fact, it's probably become more apparent, especially as we've watched some of these larger farm payments that have been coming up with the bridge payment, et cetera.
Yeah.
So, all right.
The other thing that I would like to put out there too is that a lot of times we rely on our bookkeepers to handle things on the back end. And so again, like right now is a great time of year. We're out in the field, we're planting, guys are working, weekends and long hours. And so when the bookkeeper sees that a vendor has switched up their payment plan or whatever, they have a tendency of, let's not bother the guys in the field. We can get this taken care of. And they make that call. And a lot of times, that's maybe not the right way to handle it.
All right. So Gavin, young guy, part of an operation out west. Does this worry you in any way? What would be some things that you're thinking about right now that maybe need to be done differently at your operation?
I do think like any online payments, they've always kind of been, it is nice to send a permanent wire through the bank with a known address just because of stuff like this. I've heard stories of people getting burned on phishing emails for fertilizer or payments for equipment. They get sent a different wiring link and they don't think anything of it just because, whatever, maybe the dealership changed whatever in their financing and they get burned off payment.
And so in that situation, like Chris has said, we've got to be watching the email addresses, the changes, because if you get an email from someone that says, hey, our payment location has changed or our payment information, that should probably be followed up with a phone call. no matter what,
Yes.
right? Never trust, Chris.
Yep. Never. Yeah. The old trust but verify is out the window. Now it's, we verify before we actually trust. And okay, so one little easy hack, if
Mm-hmm.
you want to call it, that you can do to help prevent this is that let's say that it's your bulk oil company or your seed dealer, and you know that invoices always come from accounts payable at xyz.com, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right click on that email and create a rule that puts that email into an invoices folder. Have a folder that is specifically for those invoices. And that way, if somebody comes along and spoofs that vendor and they tell you that, hey, we're changing up the way our payments are going, or you owe you're 20 days behind, or whatever the case is, and whatever attack they're doing, it's going to trigger and it's going to show up in your main inbox. It's not going to go straight to that folder, and that should be red flag number one, because it's not coming from the traditional email address that you're getting. Whereas if you get that email and it's accounts payable at whatever, and it's inside of your invoices folder, that rule has already been set, and therefore it's already in the folder. If it doesn't make it into the folder, I would question it.
Absolutely, because those types of changes, you can't necessarily fool that detection when it comes into
Correct.
that folder. Yes, so that makes great sense. And that's a pretty easy setup to do. I mean, we all get worried that it's too complicated. That one's not complicated.
No, it is right click, create new rule, and put it into that specific folder. And it keeps you more organized.
Yes, it does. And as a fan of folders, I mean, if you take a look at my inbox, I have a ton of folders over there. So it's helpful. Also, when it comes to, and I've heard you talk about this before, equipment, routers, laptops, even tower computers, we're always very proud of ourselves when we can buy something on sale. We got a great deal. Maybe that's not so good when it comes to our internet services and our security for our farm and ranch.
I understand that we all want to, have cost savings and we don't want to be spending too much money. But at the same time, we really need to be mindful of where our equipment is coming from. Kind of like, where's your food coming from?
Uh-huh.
If unfortunately, if you are getting cheap hardware that's coming from overseas, there is a distinct possibility that there is spyware, and those devices have already been compromised. I think we were talking last time that there's a list that the FBI put out of routers, TP-Link, Netgear, and there's a couple other models of routers that are on that list that have known spyware issues in them. And so it's already baked into the hardware itself. And so making sure that you're buying, commercial grade hardware that's actually coming from, a reputable manufacturer in the United States is really important. But then, going past just the networking side, think about the security side too. I know that we like our Ring doorbells and our Arlos and our Nest cams and all of these different, inexpensive security options for cameras, but the same holds true for them. With that cloud data of all the, camera footage that is being stored, ask yourself where it is. Ask yourself, or even look on the website and find out. Do a Google search and make sure that, that those are secure systems, and make sure your data is protected.
I guess I hadn't even considered that I should look at where it came from. That just
Absolutely.
And that should have come to mind, especially because we've seen the DOJ put out a list of drones that have come from Chinese manufacturers that are no longer going to be sold in the United States. So really, this should be the same situation with our hardware. Do you think there will ever be a list like that says don't buy these items, or is it up to us to pay more attention?
I would say number one, it's pay more attention, but number two, there's probably, I don't remember specific. I know for sure networking, yes, there is a list. I'm 90% sure there's one for security cameras and recording devices. But I can't remember exactly where I've seen that list.
Okay. There's a lot there to think about, and we should probably, on a rainy day, a cold, windy day, maybe today's the day to go look at some of your hardware equipment and make sure it's all safe and secure.
And it goes back to the idea of, I understand that it makes a lot more sense, from a financial standpoint, to go and put in $100 camera compared to a $300 camera and go, spend that extra money. But at the same time, what's the trade-off?
Yeah.
Who has access to your data? How easy is it to hack? That sort of thing.
Is there any systems you recommend for cameras? I mean, we've looked into that, and that has been a thought on my mind. Is if you set up your farm with cameras, do you want it to be trackable by somebody pretty easy, that they now know all your patterns? They know you go home by 10 o'clock. They know that the shop light's on because leave it on, and you can go in there and ransack the place or whatever.
Okay, and from that standpoint too, I mean, think about the fact that if you have a family, do you really want somebody from overseas being able to sit there and watch your family, or track your patterns and that sort of thing too? But to answer your question, we sell Lorex cameras, and then we're also a Ubiquity dealer. So Ubiquity and Lorex are both U.S. or U.S. and Canada based, and they're very protective about their data and where it's actually stored.
Good to know, because those are brand names we should think about and look for.
Yeah.
Chris, if folks are listening, first of all, Gavin, do you have more questions for Chris?
No, that's all.
Chris, for folks who are listening, give us your details again, where they can call or where they can go to find you.
Yeah, you can go to techsupport.farm, and you could give us a call at 701-446-8518. And then if you're looking to figure out, your cybersecurity situation, we have a tool called Fence Check. And basically you just jump on there, answer some questions about your farm, and within 24 hours we go through, we'll give you a kind of an action plan of what you can do yourself to improve your security posture. And it's not a sales tool or anything like that. It's simply just an assessment, and it'll help you out a lot.
Appreciate you taking the time, Chris. As always, look forward to visiting with you next month in May, as well as we talk over some of the security things that we should be thinking about more frequently and take the chance to fix it before it's too late. Chris Sherman with Tech Support Farm, thank you so much. To those listening, stay tuned, because Gavin and I have some more weather and headlines to go through. Well, the wind is ramping up because that flag on the building, we've been waiting for it to come crashing through the ceiling here. Did anybody else notice when the desk shook?
Yeah, it was.
I thought it was just me.
I can
No,
hear the
it
glass
actually
between us
shook
like
everything.
rattling.
The glass rattles, the dust shakes. This place is like a hurricane waiting to happen. Speaking of, the wind isn't going to get any better. I hate to tell you all this. Gusts of high as 41. I don't know. To make that flag shake that much up on top of the roof, it's probably even higher right now.
If anyone driving by sees like the flagpole bent at a funny angle, call in and let us know. But otherwise, it's probably fine up there.
So, okay, we were having this discussion before the show started, and Gavin McKitrick is our assistant ag director today from Cass County Farm Bureau. You made mention down in Bowman. How big is the flag at the convenience store that's up? Any idea?
I can't remember. I think it's 50 by 100.
Feet. We're not
Yeah.
talking inches. We're talking feet.
No, it's feet. It's a big flag.
And it took off one day.
Yeah, supposedly it took off and ended up over in the fields. So they able to save it, but
that's a big wind.
yeah.
Somebody forgot the one clip.
I think it just ripped eventually. I think it's happened a couple times actually, because you know that area does get some
A little breezy.
80 to 90 mile an hour winds
Well, let's
every
face
year.
it.
So
Yeah, you guys are welcome to the plains. I mean, there's a whole thing about Oklahoma and the wind comes sweeping down the plains. No, that started here.
yeah,
Just rolled to Oklahoma from us.
yeah, it's impressive when steel structures move.
Yes,
That's
it is.
when you know it's windy.
Except when you're in them. If you're in the steel structure when it moves.
Maybe one of my least favorite things I've ever experienced in my life.
Tornado or high wind?
High wind.
Where?
It was in a building. It was one of those really tall skyscrapers that's down in like the Minneapolis, St. Paul area. I couldn't tell you which one though. It was a long time ago.
No problem.
But standing at the top of that thing and being able to look down at the street and realize the top of the building was swaying in the wind, not a fan.
Gavin, how about you? Something with high wind?
Well, we got a lot of windbreak panels for cattle, and they're 10 foot tall
Yep.
and 30 foot wide. If you don't tie them down pretty good or have posts in the ground, they will fly away. I've looked over and seen them hanging off a chain in the wind, and it's kind of impressive. It's 400, 500 pounds of steel up in the wind.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
That's quite a kite.
Yeah.
As far as the building sway, I was at a meeting in St. Louis and was in the top of the arch with an impending thunderstorm and tornado coming. And when they tell you that there is 9 foot of sway in that arch in high winds, they mean it. They mean all of it. You have to sort of like crab walk and hang onto walls to get back to the little egg-shaped elevator to get the crap out of there.
You could not have paid me to even stand next to that thing, if that is true.
Yep, I was in it during a storm, or because you could see the storm rolling in. It was time to move.
I would have been on my hands and knees crying.
No, I wasn't
the
crying.
entire way down.
But I had to crawl to get to the little egg-shaped elevator to get in and back out of there.
I would have been crawling around.
It was a lot. Okay, so back to the weather. It's windy. Also, it's only going to get to be about 47 today. And I think the moisture part of our day is over. But the rest of the week looks like it's partly cloudy in the 50s down to the 30s at night. There, that's my weather. Usually when, I don't know if Addison has the weather cam up for outside right now. Usually he just has a picture that says the outside. So for those on the Lighthouse Commodities live stream, please enjoy the outside. We hope you do.
I think we should have the weather cam constantly up. We should add like a tab on like our website so people can check out what's going on.
And for those who would like to sponsor that, I would be happy to take that call or email. You can email me at flagfamily.com. We'll get that thing set up for you. You could be the weather cam sponsor.
It's a good idea. I'm just saying.
I'm right behind you with it. Okay, because Gavin's here with Cass County Farm Bureau, let's talk just a little bit about American Farm Bureau. Are you familiar with their Ag Innovation Challenge?
I've heard of it a couple times. I've seen the adverts for it. Any good idea you have and you're part of a Farm Bureau parish or county, it's recommended that there's big grants. I can't remember the cash amounts on them.
Oh, got that. If you are the overall winner of this deal, $100,000 in startup funds. Runner-up gets $25,000 and 2 additional can get $10,000. They are taking applications until June the 5th. Looking forward to seeing who applies, because what they're trying to do is help you with startup funds that would bring forward new ideas in agriculture to keep us strong. And some of the past winners, I don't know this one as well. Farm Mind, they are a company that unifies farm workflows from GIS to compliance and agronomic insights. But then GRIP was the winner in 2025. And GRIP I'm familiar with. So tell me if you've heard about this one, Gavin. Are you familiar with GRIP? Have you heard of them?
Heard of it a couple times. It's an interface for your farm information, I know.
Kind of. Like you can put an RFID tag on a piece of equipment
Yep.
and track where it's at. But then also, like if you're the driver on that semi, you can go in and say, low front steer tire needs an oil change. And so your maintenance records go in there too.
Mm-hmm.
Have you heard other benefits of using that?
I really haven't too much. It sounds interesting. I hadn't heard of it too much till we read into it a little bit, but
Well, and they are one of those that have won in the past for American Farm Bureau. But if you're interested in applying, the deadline is not until June the 5th. And again, if you win, it's $100,000. That's not a bad thing for a startup situation.
no, not at all.
Be good to see it. So thanks for joining me today, Gavin. Much appreciated.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It was great.
Looking forward to tomorrow. I will have a guest host. Justin from the Lakes is going to be sitting in with me, and we'll be talking to Brad Olstead with Steffes Group on the auction block is tomorrow. Look forward to seeing you then.